My name is Benton Stokes. I'm a former fundamentalist, post-evangelical worship leader, and songwriter. I enjoy wry Manhattans, roller coasters, and road trips, just not all at the same time.
I'm Elaine O'Rourke, and I'm a teacher, an author, and a spiritual coach. I was a philosophy professor and a liberal pastor in a couple of former lives, and these days I love aha moments and not so dry martinis.
We have conversations about life and God with a queer perspective, over cocktails, like you. This is Cocktail Theology. Today we are drinking a cocktail called Three of a Kind.
Okay, Luxardo Maraschino.
Yes.
I'm not sure what else, though.
Gin.
Okay.
Cokie Americano.
Oh. Okay.
And grapefruit rosemary bitters.
Okay. So it's the Hendrick's gin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What are the proportions?
Equal parts.
Okay, that's why the maraschino is so forward.
It's coming out. Yeah.
Okay.
If I was going to make this again, I'd cut it a bit.
Yeah. I mean, I love it. So I'm perfectly happy to have it dominant. But okay, very good. Is this a Difford's thing?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Difford's.
Great website. We love the website.
We love Difford's.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed the cocktail that we made. I think we've done a couple, but there was one called the Americano that we did earlier this season that uses the Cokie.
Yep.
And I was thinking about it earlier today, and it was like, I want to do something else with Cokie. So I went and got some.
Very cool.
And
no, I like it.
It's really yummy.
It's very yummy. Yeah, it's sweeter than I would have. If you had just told me what was in it, I wouldn't have expected that. But it's got to be the Luxardo has so much sweetness in it.
It does.
It's good. It's tasty.
Yeah. It is tasty.
It would go well with snacks. But we don't have any, and they would make noise.
That's true.
That's fine.
All the listeners would hear is crunch, crunch, crunch.
Exactly. Yeah. So, what are we talking about today, sir?
So today is a little more introspective, reflective type of episode, I think.
Okay.
The question is, what do we mean when we say we are Christians?
Oh, are we talking about the large we?
No.
Oh, we're talking about you and me, we?
Yes, and then we can talk about the large we.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I just wanted to... This may take me a second. Okay, and this is coming out of that conversation we had when we were on our vacation, right?
That's right.
Okay. Well, I remember what I was thinking about at the time was just that the popular conception of Christianity changes, ebbs, flows, shifts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so for many years, it was the mainline church. So the Episcopals, the Methodists, the Lutherans, those folks that people thought of when they thought of Christianity.
Yeah.
And then it swung to, the far evangelical right. And then there was some kind of shifting backwards. And now it's, but it seems like, and I could be really wrong, because I often am, but it seems like there's a resurgence of wanting connection with what is bigger, which is, of course, something we've been talking about anyway, right?
Yes.
So I was thinking about, well, I wonder what people think Christianity means. And then it made me think, well, what do I think? Like, what do I mean when I say that? So, and it's definitely changed over the years for me. So I think I've mentioned this before in the podcast that I was much more comfortable saying I was a pastor than that I was a Christian for a long time.
Yeah, you have mentioned that.
Right. Yeah. Because like pastor, if you're female particularly, doesn't carry some of the weight that Christian does. Because so many people over the years have thought that Christians were just hateful, militaristic, blah, blah, blah. And of course, I've never been any of those things. Since then, though, and I think since really getting to know you better and for us and are talking about all of this, I am kind of wondering, well, what do I mean when I say I'm a Christian? And do I say I'm a Christian?
Yeah.
I mean, I admit that I hedge, I will find other ways to talk about it. But there's something about, for me, accessing God through the reality of the Trinity and the history of the Christian church that rings right for me. Now, it doesn't mean other things ring wrong. It's more like it chimes a particular bell.
Yeah.
For me.
Okay.
When I think about God the Creator, or God the Father, or God the Mother, although that one less, and I think about God, Christ, separate from Jesus, but something about someone who rescues and teaches and guides, and then think about God as spirit, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And when I think about, the way I've taught Trinity over the years, that sense of there being inherently relationship in God, inherently the divine dance, all of those things read church for me. So there's something about those portals that work for me. There are other portals that work for me too, but it's just different. It's different.
Yeah.
I don't know. What about you? And then we can go deeper. That's kind of off the top of my head.
Well, I mean, that was very well put. Mine is probably a lot more squishy than that. I don't refer to myself as a Christian nearly as much as I used to. I will sometimes refer to myself as a Jesus follower. Many times I will say I'm a person of faith. I'm a spiritual person is less used, but and pretty vague. I'm not afraid of saying that I'm a Christian. It's just that the context for that qualifier these days is just so fraught. And where we are on the West Coast, I find it to be less inflammatory and more, really? I think there are parts of the country where I could say I'm a Christian and somebody would bite my head off. And in some circles, as we've talked about before.
Right. I'm going to interrupt you for a second. So when you're describing yourself in faith terms to people in this area, what's the age group you tend to be talking to?
Generally younger than me.
And see, isn't that interesting? Because I think that openness or curiosity or just sort of blank stare about Christianity is much more true of younger people.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
especially here.
Yeah, because people our age and older tend to have in their minds sort of what Christian means, and there's historical data to support whatever it is. So it's not just what the news is saying Christians are right now, but it's also their experience over years. That's a good point. I think the people that I talk to and that I come into contact with in my other job tend to be younger and tend to have a curiosity about matters of faith, and they would be just as curious if I said I was Muslim or if I said I was Buddhist or whatever. The term Christian doesn't hold any particular weight to it unless they've had some experience, like having been in a youth group or having been part of a megachurch or whatever. Right. But most people here that I encounter, they don't leap to nationalist. But I think that's a texture. Right. Whereas I think I'm more sensitive to that. And so I probably don't use that term nearly as much as I used to.
Yeah. I almost never use it. Like it would be way down the list of things I would use talking to people. Like It was really funny. So, in my other job, I work for a very large company, and it has lots and lots and lots of affinity groups. Yeah. And the more general faith affinity group is very either really squishy or lionizes things that aren't Christian.
Oh, okay.
So if you say that you're Christian in that group, it's an uncomfortable thing to do.
Okay.
The quote unquote Christian groups are like not my kind of Christian. It's like, no, we're not having that conversation. That is not a conversation I'm going to be having with you, right? But it's that extreme, right? Yeah. And I haven't looked at age groups in those things, but it would be interesting to know what the age groups were. Yeah. I wonder, staying on that person of faith stuff for a minute, I wonder if the election of Mamdani in New York is going to change some of the conversation, because he's made a point of being a person of faith and a Muslim, Not that those are different, but using both sets of language,
Yeah.
right? And his, his huge win. I wonder if that's going to open up, again, more conversation for what it means to be a person of faith of any particular channel.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I hope it does.
Yeah.
There are others that come from the political left and center left that are being more outspoken about being people of faith right now, which is nice because, on the right, it's kind of assumed that everybody adheres to some form of Christian nationalism.
Right.
I mean, that's part of a requirement almost these days to serve in public office at any high level.
Yeah.
For people on the left to begin taking some of that language and talking about, really what Jesus said, really what Jesus did, how that applies to us today, how that applies to our leaders today, has been really refreshing for me to hear. And it's hopeful. And I do hope that more people on the political left will start speaking in those terms, as long as it's authentic. I mean, I don't love it when anybody co-opts anything.
No.
But the sources where I'm hearing it feels real.
Right.
And the perspectives come from like a very informed position, and it's not all just touchy-feely, but it's like they're quoting scripture and they're talking about, the historical Jesus, and they're like pointing things out that are incredibly relevant to where we are right now.
Right.
That have nothing to do with Rambo Jesus.
Right. Okay, so staying back on the what do I mean when I call myself Christian, if I am forced to do that, if I go into the hospital and I've got to check because this happened recently when I had my surgery, I had to check which box, if I was a person of faith, and if so, which box did I fit? And it was like 87 different names for Christian traditions, and then like Muslim, other. I was like, okay, but that's fine. But okay, so what do I mean when I say that? I know for sure that when I say that I'm Christian, it means that I honor Jewish tradition and Jewish people as being part of my lineage without a break. So that I am absolutely beholden to Jews and Judaism, the people of Abraham, for the faith that I have come to know.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that God went, okay, y'all were great. You screwed up. Now I'm going to focus my attention on these new people. I mean, that's just, so that's really important for me in my Christianity. My understanding of Jesus as portrayed in the Gospels is really important for my Christianity.
Yes, absolutely.
Particularly in what we call the synoptic Gospels, which are the ones that follow roughly the same pattern. They're trying to tell the story of Jesus' life, where John, which is the other one, is more of a theological treatise, right? So there's something about Jesus as portrayed in those things, in those Gospels, that's really important to me.
Yeah.
If Jesus and Paul contradict each other or appear to contradict each other, I'm going to go with what Jesus said.
Yes.
Because Paul was a bishop trying to build churches, and you have different kinds of conversations than if you're trying to proclaim a truth that you are part of.
Yes.
So lean to Jesus, not to Paul.
Right.
I think that to call oneself, and I would say this pretty firmly about anybody, to call oneself a Christian, you can't just like Jesus. You have to be grappling in some way with the idea that Jesus was Christ. Whether that means the promised Messiah or the Son of God or divinely imbued or what, but you've got to be dealing somehow with that. He's not just a guy.
Yeah.
So there's got to be some sort of engagement with the divinity and perhaps the Jewish prophecy as well. So all of those things, those all matter. For me, when I say I'm Christian, I value the sacraments. And when I talk about the sacraments, I'm talking about baptism as a sacrament, not as purely a public proclamation.
Right.
But I'm also talking about Holy Communion, the Eucharist. I am willing to go with the idea that it may be a memorial. In other words, we participate in it in order to remember Jesus. I emotionally, and when I am leading worship, liturgically lean to the idea that it's a sacrament, that's a sacred act that Jesus commanded us to do.
Right.
So all of those things for me are deep and essential parts of my calling myself a Christian. With the other piece being, I don't think that simply saying I'm a Christian makes me a Christian.
Right.
And I don't think just being baptized makes me a Christian.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not judging what God's going to do about all of that in the long run. But for me, you have to be trying to live a life that looks like Jesus's in attitude, and then making efforts to be formed and to act in those ways.
Yes.
So those things are all really part of it for me.
Yeah.
How about you? Where would you agree, disagree, have just different shading?
Much of the same, but I think mine is maybe simpler. And it may be because I come from a low church tradition.
Right.
And even though a lot of the things that the faith of my upbringing would teach, still teaches, I guess, I don't adhere to those things. But I think some of the simplicity of it helps me focus on the things that I think connect me to Jesus the most or the best. I don't know. For me, I fully agree that paying attention to what Jesus did and striving to live more like Jesus, be more like Jesus, do more like Jesus is the highest and most central calling to me as a Christian. If I'm going to follow Jesus, then that means I follow Jesus.
Right.
And I agree that when something Paul says or anything else that I read in the Bible says seems to contradict the Gospels, I always defer to the Gospels. As a Christian, I think that's what I'm called to do. The thing that has most defined my Christian experience in the last 10 years has been getting to know Jesus as a human being. The divinity of Jesus was never something that I questioned. Well, really, it was the thing that got more time, more screen time than the humanity of Jesus, for sure, as I was growing up. Understanding Jesus' humanity actually gives me hope that I can be more like that. Because if Jesus was just God in human clothes, then who can be God, right?
Right.
Jesus, I can aspire to be more like Jesus. And Jesus did many things that we are capable of doing every day.
Right.
And so I feel like that's the thing that I'm called to. I've let much of my theological trappings fall by the wayside. At this point, I feel pretty open to what happens when we die. What is Jesus coming back? What does that look like? Some of these questions that my upbringing got really hung up on. I don't feel like those things are very central to my faith anymore. I don't feel like I need to know these things. And I think as a result of that, I embrace the willingness to see the mystery in God. I don't embrace the mystery all the time.
I love your phrasing of that. It was so honest.
But I embrace being willing to see and striving to see and experience God as mysterious.
Right.
One of the biggest, maybe the biggest fallacy of evangelicalism is the need to be sure, the need to be certain, and the inflexibility in how they talk about God, how they talk about Jesus. They're so smug about it sometimes.
Right.
It just makes them very exclusive, and I don't see any love in that or generosity in that. I don't see any. How does the Holy Spirit work with that? I don't know. I guess she does, but I don't know how. I think we have to leave a little bit of room, a little room for doubt, a little room for questions, a little room for thinking that maybe we don't have it all figured out.
I started to say I would love to have God all figured out. I'm not sure that's true, but the idea that you could have God all figured out, makes God so tiny to me.
Tiny, yes, yeah, cosmic vending machine.
Get all figured out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so let's go to Christian practice for a minute. What would you count as being essential to you, not everybody, your Christian practice, whatever that means?
Prayer.
Okay.
Worship.
Okay. And you're talking about communal worship or personal worship or
Both.
something else? Okay.
actually thinking about God, thinking about, like, being intentional about being a Jesus follower, I think is big for me. Not trusting the instinct to do that, because instincts will lead one astray. I think it's something we have to be intentional about. So that means kind of training your thinking, training your mind, and focusing on the things that really matter, and striving to pay attention to what the needs are around me, what people need, and how I might be able to give a kind word, show some love, be some light. I think those are central for me.
Okay, that makes sense. You grew up as a praying person. I think that prayer is central as well for me, but I don't think I'm as natural at it as you are. So for me, part of my challenge as a Christian is imbuing my daily life with prayer.
Yeah.
And that looks different at different seasons of my life, different weeks of my life, different days in my life. There have been times in my life when I've been very regimented about it. There have been times in my life where I've been very fervent and desperate for that.
Yeah.
At this point, this particular moment in my life, I have to remind myself. I have to remind myself to take things to God in prayer, both for that beseeching kind of aspect, but also the hey God, here's what I'm doing. I'd love you to be part of it.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm grateful for communal worship, particularly as being a reminder of that.
Sure. Yeah.
And a check-in of that sort. And that's separate from the experience of worship. But communal worship, being together with other people, partly for the purpose of prayer, means that no matter what, during that period of time, I have the invitation to pray.
Yeah.
And I can choose to do that, or I can choose to keep my grocery list going in my head.
Right.
And that's up to me.
Right.
That's an interesting one. I agree with you. I think it's basic. But for me, it's basic, and I think this is true for you. It's basic because being Christian is about relationship with God.
Yes.
And you build relationship through conversation and presence. So I would say that that's what I mean by prayer is essential.
Yeah.
I've reached the point in my life where Eucharist is pretty freaking essential. I think it's because the body and blood, the bread and the wine are an absolute image for me of the divine human aspect of Jesus.
Wow. Yeah.
So every time I take it, I think of that. I am reminded of that. And particularly if I officiate over it, I am very much asking God to imbue the bread and the wine with the presence of Jesus, whatever that means, and to feed us through that. Like it is a constant prayer when I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So that's also really important. I also feel like baptism is important. We did not baptize our child when she was little. We did dedicate her and christen her, but we didn't baptize her because we felt like that was a choice to make. She has not been baptized. There's a little part of me that would like her to decide that was a good thing. But as a invitation of the Holy Spirit to take up residence in her heart.
Right.
Like that sense of baptism.
Yeah.
I think what's really essential for me is this is not unique to Christianity, but for me it is absolutely essential to make an effort to recognize the divine presence in human beings, especially if I don't like them.
Yes. Yes.
That for me is absolutely central to my calling myself a Christian. If I am not making that effort, I might as well just walk away.
Yeah, that's something that I've really been challenged to when I encounter someone that I find unpleasant. That is my prayer.
Yep.
Help me see you in this person.
Yes.
And recognizing that God and the divine dwells in all of us.
Right.
And that does help me not blindly throw yuck at people.
Right. And dismiss them.
And dismiss them and be smug.
Yeah. No, for sure. Okay. So the things that are essential for me when I say I am a Christian, Jesus, his person, his behavior, his way of engaging with God, his way of engaging with other people, central.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
The divine human overlap in Jesus that I am unwilling to say, I know what that means, but it's something.
Yeah.
The continuity with Jewish tradition and Jewish peoples rather than a break from them. The sacrament and the presence of Christ in Jesus's body and blood as celebrated through communion. The effort to live more humbly, more decently, more recognizingly of other people.
Right.
And you would add to that the centrality of prayer as a daily part of who you are.
Yes.
And what else would you add to it? Worship.
Worship.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
There you go. That's what we mean.
That's what we
when we
mean.
say we're Christians.
That's what we mean.
I would love to know what other people mean when they say they're Christians, if they say that they're Christians.
Yeah. Folks, tell us. Tell us where you are on that right now. Is that a way that you describe yourself? If people ask you, how do you see God or how do you relate to God, do you use Christian as a descriptor for that? Cocktailtheology.com is where we are. You can also leave a comment if you're listening on YouTube.
Yes, please.
Throw us a like, please, and a subscribe or follow wherever you are. It helps other people find us.
Yes.
And feel free to disagree with us, too. If you didn't like something we said, I find that hard to believe, but sure.
Well, we're grown-ups. We can take it.
It's true. We can take it. We can. Till next time, friends. We appreciate you.
Bye.
Bye.
Funny how the view can change, how life just seems to rearrange itself. No matter what it was, I don't know how it goes, but look, moving on feels pretty good. Moving on feels pretty good.
If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a like and hit subscribe wherever you're listening right now. We welcome your comments, questions, and ideas for conversations and for cocktails. Please get in touch with us at our website, cocktailtheology.com. Cocktail Theology is a production of SFS. Our theme song is Moving On Feels Pretty Good, recorded by yours truly, Benton Stokes. You can find my music wherever you stream your favorite artists. Join us next Thursday for another new episode.